Hello, and welcome to this episode of the tutorial series, dedicated to the Cabin Section Manager in JPAD Modeller. The Cabin Section is actually a subsection of the fuselage section, since the space available for passengers is tightly coupled to the overall dimensions of the fuselage. The inputs provided in this section allow you to manage all those parameters which are linked to the internal cabin layout, and to the accommodation of passenger on board. The first portion of this tab is dedicated to the definition of a general update strategy of the cabin. This strategy can be based on the number of rows, or it can be based on the passengers' percentages defined per each class. Regarding the first approach, the number of passengers of a specific class is determined by the product between seat rows and abreast. For the second approach, the number of rows is a derived variable. Several consistency checks are always automatically performed for all cabin layout updates, according to one of these rules. The global data section includes the number of passengers to be accommodated on board, and the number of flight and cabin crew members. These can be also automatically calculated, based on the number of passengers. The cabin layout section also includes infos on the cabin longitudinal position with respect to the fuselage, as well as input data related to an additional free space at the beginning and at the end of the cabin. This space is often necessary to leave enough room for cabin equipment. The cabin of an aircraft designed with JPAD Modeller can be organized in different classes. You can choose between three different arrangements: Economy class, Economy plus Business class, Economy, Business, and First classes. You can progressively add classes to your cabin, or eventually remove them, if you change your mind. For each class, you can independently select the abreast, which in turn automatically sets the number of aisles, and the number of rows, or the percentage of seats dedicated to this class, depending on the selected cabin update strategy. Moreover, you can decide the removal policy of non-necessary seats during updates, which is adopted to always ensure data consistency. For each class, you can also set the characteristics of seats in terms of pitch, width, and distance from walls. The first two characteristics can also be automatically estimated, based on real airliners' data statistics. The width of the aisles is then a derived quantity, which depends on the fuselage width, and on the previously mentioned macro parameters. At each fuselage update, several checks are performed. Not only to ensure the cabin data consistency, but also to enforce the aircraft feasibility, such as the possibility to actually fit the designed cabin in the fuselage, along the longitudinal direction of the aircraft. By clicking on the double arrow in the top right corner of the Fuselage and Cabin tab, you have access to a top view of the seat map. You can eventually save the seat map by right-clicking on the image. Moreover, the lower portion of this tab provides you with plenty of infos on the cabin characteristics. These include derived data on the number of required exits, as well as their type. In the next video, we will explore the content of a generic lifting surface data section. The lifting surface is a common data type, which gathers the following components: wing, horizontal tail, vertical tail, and canard. Thus, once you understand the behavior of one of these components, it will be pretty easy to manage the remaining ones. So, see you there.